So I think it's fair to say that autumn, like all good things, has been massively commercialized. We've got the decorations, we've got the pumpkin spice latte, we've got apple cider candles. Everything is shaped like a pumpkin. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I do think it's important to keep these philosophical points in mind just so that we are staying grounded and connected to what autumn means or can mean, and how autumn can improve your outlook, especially moving into a new year and especially moving into the darkest period of our year. So, you know how I like to keep things jolly on this channel. The first point I'd like to make is death. Autumn is very much characterized by death and dying. And yes, we can appreciate the beauty of it, but I think it's also important to let this be a reminder to us that our time on this earth is fleeting. We are impermanent, as are our anxieties and our worries and our concerns. And ultimately, once we view our life from the lens of the fact that one day, not only will we be dead, but no one will even remember that we ever existed. Once we view life from that perspective, we can see it for the colourful, vibrant, joyful experience that it is. And I appreciate that for some people that might feel like something you want to avoid thinking about because it could be scary, but ultimately it's unavoidable. And I think that things that are unavoidable, we should try our best not to avoid them, because otherwise it becomes this big thing that we have to put effort into not thinking about. We have to try hard not to think about the fact that we will die. Whereas if you spent a few minutes every day, this is one of the things that absolutely transformed my life. If you spend a few minutes every single day thinking, Memento mori, I'm gonna die, it just puts everything into perspective. It's like it like reorders everything. It just files every concern that you've ever had into an order. That means that most of what you spend your time thinking about, you realize you don't have to. Well, it's a waste. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. So let those dying autumn leaves be a reminder that as their time on this earth is fleeting, so is yours. The second thing that autumn can teach us is that not only is life fleeting, but autumn manages to make the death of the leaves and the dying beautiful. When you look at an autumn tree, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. The amount of colour that it brings in, it's vibrant and it's gorgeous, but ultimately it is the process of dying that we are observing. And I think this is really important because it reminds us that there is beauty in transience. It's not, when we think of death, we might think of funerals and we think of black and we think of darkness and we think of like this never-ending sleep. This is how many of us have come to think about what death might be, even though we have no real way of knowing. But autumn takes the concept of dying and it makes it vibrant and colourful and beautiful. It makes it worth celebrating. We celebrate the colours, we celebrate the change in the leaves. Autumn takes the concept of death and makes it worth celebrating by making it beautiful. And without giving any spoilers, if you've seen The Good Place, then the way that ends, I feel also echoes this. It's the concept of endings and death that give things meaning ultimately. If everything was here always forever, it wouldn't have the gravity that it does. Next is a slightly poetic point that I'd like to make, which is that the trees in autumn feel comfortable letting go of their leaves because they know that they will regrow. And I think that from a minimalist perspective, this is a really beautiful observation. You can let go of things and know that when you need them, they will be there for you. I know one of the reasons that people hold on to things is out of fear because they think that they might need it. And that's a fair concern, but you don't need to have that thing in your space in order to be able to use it. I think one of the really big benefits of minimalism is that it encourages you to have faith in the fact that when you need something, you will be able to access it. You could borrow it off somebody else, you could buy it new, you could buy it secondhand, it could just come to you in some form. I think having faith that when you need something, you have it. It is an outlook that will serve you well because it eases your movement through life. You don't come at life from this place of clinging and anxiety and trying to control everything. It's this gentle moving through your life, knowing that it will catch you. And I think minimalism is a great way for us to practice this. And the final point that I think is worth making is that autumn helps lower us gently into the darkness and the cold that is winter. And part of that involves living in harmony with what nature is up to. And this is very much a time of rest. It is a time of slowing down. It's a time of conserving energy. It's a time of thinking ahead to the darkness and bringing light in, trying to figure out how you personally are going to bring light into the darkness. And this is so important because one of the main ways that we have learned how to bring light into the darkness is to make purchases. It's to get something new, get a little treat, to order something online and, eagerly anticipate its arrival. But it is worth considering how you, in a meaningful way, a genuine, meaningful, personal way, how are you going to bring light into the dark months? It could be focusing more on spending time with family. It could be just shifting where you're putting your energy to make sure that you are putting it into areas that genuinely uplift you and bring you something. And a quick note on rest as well. I think it's really easy to think of rest as dissociating or disengaging from your life or from the troubles of your day. And I think that when you sit there scrolling and it feels semi-restful because you are not engaged in the stress of what your life is, or if you're sitting there watching a TV show or a film and you're so engaged in this other thing that it feels like you can kind of leave your worries behind you, that is not true rest. And it certainly has a place, but it's not restful like a meditative rest. Rest should feel energizing, and I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind. Oh, sorry, the postman came. Yes, rest should feel energizing, and I think scrolling through your phone, I'm a bit out of breath. Scrolling through your phone or watching a film or TV show where you feel like you've just checked out of life for a bit, I don't think is energizing rest. They are my minimalist and stoic thoughts on autumn. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about the concept of thinking about the concept of death regularly, especially if you're a parent. I think that's really interesting because I've noticed that my ease with that concept has shifted slightly. It used to be something that was very liberating when I thought about the fact that life is fleeting, and it disconnected me from the anxieties that I was attached to. However, now it sort of creates some new anxieties as well. Again, I just think it's important that when there's something that is inevitable, you don't shy away from it, because you have to put energy into shying away from something that is inevitable. And I don't want to put my energy into that, so it's just a process that I'm going through. It's a new life situation that I have to get used to. And like everything else, it will come to an end. This is all here for now, and we will do our best with what we have, but ultimately, we're not here forever. I'm about to go off on what could essentially be another YouTube video, so I think we're going to call it a day there. But I hope you're all doing very well, and I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Goodbye. Bye-bye.